So I wanted to review the Call of Duty World War II beta. Now, I didn't pre-order the game to get the beta at all. My neighbor gave me a code for the beta. His channel is linked down below. Check him out, he makes some funny stuff. So let's talk about the maps. I'm gonna come out plain and simple. They are awful. I'm sorry, Sledgehammer Games. These maps are terrible. The ones that are in the beta are just completely awful, especially the Gibraltar map. They're too small and way too cramped. Like, the design feels like I'm constantly getting flanked, and I'm also constantly flanking someone. To where I'm always getting shot in the back, and I'm always shooting people in the back. Like, on one of the games, I decided not to run because the map was so small. I just walked. Like, you're gonna see this in the background. I just walked around. Didn't sprint. And I got one of the, what is it, the kill of the game thing at the end. I don't know. It's not a final kill anymore. It's like the best kill. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, like, what happened to Call of Duty's map design? This is awful. Like, what happened to Outskirts, Silo, Castle? What was another good one? I always liked Pipeline from one of the Call of Duties, and Black Ops had some pretty good maps too. Besides Nuketown, Black Ops had some pretty good ones. Like which one did I really like? I really liked. I always forget the name of Call of Duty's maps, but I remember what they look like. It was like had a train in the background. It was in the snow, sort of. It was Russian. It was all like inside and outside. Very complex map. That's the kind of maps I like. These ones are kind of simple and boring, and lane-based. Lane-based. What is this, a MOBA? Like, you can clearly see the 3-lane map design in these maps, where it's 3 lanes, and then they're just connected sideways most of the time, in a round circle. Like, I don't know, it feels like they were designed in like a week. Less than that. Sorry, Sledgehammer. You know. Alright. Next, let's talk about the guns. Everything that is full auto that isn't an SMG is near useless. Because of the map size, SMGs are extremely powerful, and the STG. I tried using the Johnson light machine gun, which for some reason is in the rifle category. I don't understand why they put the Johnson light machine gun in the rifle category, but okay. Doesn't have a bipod. So, basically, you'll lose out to SMGs with anything that's not an SMG that's full auto. Full auto. Let's keep this in mind. Anything else that's full auto. That means the Johnson LMG, especially the light machine gun, the Bren. The Bren was, unless you're playing a certain game mode, which we'll cover that later, the Bren is useless. The Bren is, because for some reason, the Bren has a very non-Call of Duty reload. Like, the reload on the Bren is literally probably close to a Rising Storm reload. It's so slow. Like, if you compare the reloads of the Bren versus like the submachine guns reload in like a second. It's like flip. Like, especially I think it's the Type 100. It reloads stupidly fast. The Bren, it's so weird that the difference between these reloads. It's like they were animated.
Deny the enemy resupply.
For 2 completely different games. Like, the Bren feels like it's made for, like I said, a Rising Storm or Red Orchestra type game, very slow, whereas the submachine guns feel like they're made for Call of Duty. It's just such a weird difference. Next, none of the guns have recoil. Like, they don't feel good to use. They don't feel good to shoot. Like, the zero recoil combined with a hit scan system, which Call of Duty's been using for its entire instance. Actually, the hit scan system goes back probably into the 80s. Hit scan is a very old system for determining how gun damage works. I guess, you know, that's what people want. But yeah, every gun felt weightless. Like, I don't know, it felt like they were laser weapons. Reskinned to look like World War II guns. Because there's no recoil, like, I don't know, there's just not positive feedback for hitting people, you know? You know, there's no... Since you don't have to control the recoil, gunfights are boring. Like, the gunfights themselves are very boring. Because it's kind of boils down to whose weapon shoots faster, who shot first. Not who is more accurate, who has better placement. Just saying, like, it's... I don't know. Next, we get into quickscoping. Quickscoping is back, and it's never going away. Quickscoping is really part of Call of Duty now, which I'm ashamed of, because it never used to be like that. Where it seems quickscoping is fairly easy, because I was quickscoped multiple times. Didn't seem very hard. I've done it in past Call of Duties. It's not very hard. It's actually an exploit of the game engine, if you didn't know this. I'll link an article down below of... Maybe I will. I don't know. If I can find it. If I can find this article. It's a very old article from... I think... Black Ops days? Black Ops days? So it's very old by now. Explains how quickscoping is actually an exploit of the game engine. Next up, the M1 carbine sights are wrong. They're just plain wrong. The rear sight is sort of correct. The front sight is just completely wrong. For some reason, they gave it like a G43 or G41 style hooded front sight when it should be the same as the M1 Grands. It's the same peep sight and 3-prong that the US has basically always used since the M1917 Enfield. I don't get how they got that wrong. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to look up the gun. I own one. It's over there in the corner. Oof. The bazooka feels very limp. Like, the bazooka doesn't feel good to use. It doesn't feel powerful like a bazooka should. It feels like a potato gun. Like, the explosion radius is so low that it feels almost like you have to direct hit somebody with it in order to get a kill, which is like, what's the point of the bazooka then? It's like, what's the point of the bazooka in the game anyway? There's nothing to really kill with it. The tank doesn't take damage in the war mode, which we'll get into that later. It's the kill streaks. They're dumb. They're just reskinned kill streaks from previous Call of Duty. The recon plane, it's literally just a UAV. From starting with Modern Warfare 2, where it literally flies around the map and you can see it. At least Ghost tried to change the UAV a bit. You know, into a box, which is kind of neat. I thought at the time it was pretty neat to have this box. Guided bomb, just a Predator missile, or I don't know what it's called. It's like a guided bomb. It's just a Predator missile, like just a Predator missile. Strafing run is clearly from Black Ops 2, like the A10 strafing run, A10 Warthog strafing run. Now, this I thought was a joke that flamethrower and Molotovs are kill streaks. I thought that was a joke. Not gonna comment any more than that on their effectiveness, but yeah. Divisions. I think that the concept is pretty cool. I think that some of the perks are really stupid. Like I don't know, I think it's a perk, whatever it's called. There's a perk that you have to put on your class that allows you to use a bazooka. It's not a bazooka perk. It's a perk that allows you to use a bazooka. Why is that? Like, COD 4 World at War, bazooka RPG, first slot perk. You can have Call of Duty World at War and COD 4. You can technically have an RPG or bazooka, 2 primary weapons, and a pistol. You choose the RPG, overkill, last stand. You can have 4 different weapons, technically. The war game mode. The war game mode's pretty interesting, but it's been done before. And better. A lot better. 11 years ago. Enemy Territories Quake Wars. That game did it way better. Because of...
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engineers. Ready, set.
vehicles weren't just a moving box that you got to go use the machine gun on. Why can't you drive the tank? Like, it's literally just a box. It could be anything. It's so pointless to, like, that you can't drive the tank. Oh, you can use the machine gun. Oh, wow. Ooh. Call of Duty 3. You can drive 2 different types of tanks. A Panzer IV and a Sherman. Two infantry vehicles, Jeep, Kubelwagen, and a motorcycle. That game was rushed in under 8 months. You had 3 years to make this game.
3 years. 3 years. 3 years.
3 fucking years.
World at War, 2 different types of tanks. Panzer IV, T-34. Oh, T-34-85, excuse me. There was even going to be a tank versus tank game mode in World at War. Go look it up. It was cancelled because I don't think they could get it.
Survival! Tank more! We have captured the enemy tank! Our tank has been destroyed! We have destroyed the enemy tank! We got ourselves a new tank! Vehicle Team Deathmarch! Our panzers will crush them! Give them a taste of German engineering! Survival! Tank war! We have captured the enemy tank! Our tank has been destroyed! We have destroyed the enemy tank! We have a new tank! Vehicle Team Deathmatch! Unleash the might of our armor! Crush our enemies beneath the treads of our armor! Survival! Tank war! We have captured the enemy tank! Our tank has been destroyed! We have destroyed the enemy tank! We have a new tank! Vehicle Team Deathmatch! Roll over them! Break their bones! Crush all who stand in our way!
Survival. Tank war. We have captured the enemy tank. Our tank has been destroyed. We have destroyed the enemy tank. We got ourselves a new tank. Vehicle Team Deathmatch. Get these tanks rolling. Roll right over them.
Out fast enough for the game. Yes, a tank versus tank game mode, where everyone would have a tank. It was going to be T-34s versus Panzer IVs and Shermans versus Type 95 Chihas? I forget the Japanese tank in that game that you encounter in the campaign. See, that would have been cool for you to implement, you know? Maybe you will. Maybe that will come, and I'll change my mind about this game. I mean, Black Ops 3 technically had vehicles, with the Outskirts remake that I never played. But I know it had mech walkers. So, the only good thing I have to say is the weapon selection is good. Featuring weapons that you don't usually see in most games, like the Johnson LMG, despite it being in the rifle category for some reason. The MP28, that doesn't get featured very often. The M712 Schnellfeuer, I don't know, it's a German word. The automatic broom handle Mauser, even though that has no recoil, which annoys me. The later Lewis gun without the heat shield. A brand which the brand is featured. There's you know, if this is indication of how the game is going to be, small maps, no recoil, lots of jump shooting. I noticed there was tons of jump shooting. It's like boots on the ground, and yet everyone's jumping. Like, it's kind of sad, honestly. I give the game a 7 out of 10.
Enemy care package observed. Stop their resupply. Hardpoint is in enemy hands. Go, go! Enemy bomb incoming. Get to cover. Recon airborne. Hardpoint in Allied hands. Care package on the way. Protect the drop zone. Seize and defend the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down. Hardpoint is in enemy hands. Recon searching for targets. Hardpoint is secure. Seize and defend the hardpoint. Enemy is down! Hardpoint is in enemy hands. Hardpoint location confirmed. Recon airborne. Recon aloft. We have eyes in the sky. Hardpoint is getting overrun. Need reinforcements. They're on the move! Recon airborne. Hardpoint location confirmed. Hardpoint in Allied hands. We carried the day. Nice work, soldier.